Hi, everybody. Welcome to this session of Family Story Time on Race and Diversity. I'm Sira Williams from the Red Bank Public Library, but I want to welcome you to my home today as we celebrate Kwanzaa. Um, it's the holiday season. It's one of my favorite times of year because it's a season of love and light and hope, and people are filled with the holiday spirit. And we know that the world is in need of all of those things right now. So I'm going to try to send all that good stuff to you during this program as we talk about Kwanzaa. So much has happened in this past year, and a lot of times events that take place and that we see on the news are influenced by people's cultures and traditions and the clash that comes between those sometimes. And so the more that we can learn about people who are different from us, the better off we all are, because we gain an understanding and a respect for where they come from, what their beliefs are, what their traditions are, and what their motivations are. Even if we don't agree or if they're different from ours, that understanding goes a long way. And so I hope that you gain a new understanding today about the holiday of Kwanzaa. It's one that not a lot of people know about, and that's okay. But I think you're going to find that you will understand and respect the principles and values that this holiday is founded on, and that's a good thing. So the number one thing I want to tell you is that Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. People at this time of year are celebrating Christmas and Hanukkah, but Kwanzaa is a cultural celebration, and it's celebrated by African American people. And because it's a cultural celebration, in our house we celebrate both Christmas and Kwanzaa, which makes the season twice as fun. Kwanzaa is 1 week long, and the timing of it is perfect. It falls exactly between Christmas and New Year's. So the day after Christmas is the first day of Kwanzaa, and then New Year's Day is the last day of Kwanzaa. And again, that's perfect because Kwanzaa encourages us to do three things. Number one, to remember and honor our history and our past, both the struggles and the triumphs. Number two, it encourages us to look forward to the future with excitement and expectation that bigger, better things are going to come. And number three, we want to enjoy the here and now with each other, working together, helping each other, celebrating with each other. And Kwanzaa is about all of that. And so I want to remind you that we've done already 2 programs about Kwanzaa. You can find them on our YouTube channel for the Red Bank Public Library under the playlist of Family Storytime on Race and Diversity. In those programs, we talked a lot about the symbols of Kwanzaa that you see here on my display. Today, we're going to talk more about the principles of Kwanzaa and how we can incorporate those in our lives and how they are incorporated in the celebration of the holiday. I do want to quickly remind you what these symbols are as you look at them, because we are going to be lighting our candles and doing the whole shebang. First, let me tell you that the word Kwanzaa means first fruits of the harvest, and that a lot of the principles and the words from Kwanzaa are inspired by African cultures and traditions. So the words that we're going to use are Swahili words, and that's a language that's spoken in East Africa. I'm going to quickly show you my mat, which is the base of this display. It's red, green, and black, and it represents our community, the African American community, because we rely on each other and work together a lot, both in the past, and we need to do that in the future as well, to encourage and support each other as we move along. The Swahili word for the mat is mkeka. Mkeka. On top of that mat is the rest of our display. Our candle holder is called the kinara. The kinara, and it holds the 7 candles for the 7 days of Kwanzaa. They are also red, green, and black. The black represents African American people. The red represents our history, and the green represents the future. And we're going to light them and alternate, and you'll see how beautiful it looks. Also on the mat is our corn. The word for the corn is muhindi. And the corn, do you remember what it represents? It represents our children. And I'm going to remind you why. Because each kernel of corn is a seed. And if we plant that seed and we take care of it and we nurture it and water it, it will grow into a new plant that's going to make more corn with more seeds, and so on and so on and so on. And that's like our children, because children are the seeds of our future generations of our family. And that is so beautiful. And so we have 3 ears of corn in this house to represent our 3 daughters. Next on the mat is our fruit. Remember, we're celebrating the first fruits of the harvest. The word for the fruit is muhindi. Muhindi. And it just represents all of our many blessings, all the things that we were thankful for at Thanksgiving time. So that should be fresh in your mind. That's my family, my friends, my job, my health, my strength, all the good things in my life. All the good things are wrapped up in that fruit right there, the muhindi. And then the last thing on my mat that I want to show you is my unity cup. The unity cup is special. The word for it, there's 3 words, is kikombe cha umoja. Kikombe cha umoja means cup of unity. And each night of Kwanzaa, when we light our candle, we take a sip from this unity cup and dedicate ourselves to the principle of the day. And we're going to talk about those principles in just a moment. So those are the symbols of Kwanzaa, and it makes for a beautiful display. We're going to talk about our principles. And this year, instead of reading one book that talks about all of Kwanzaa, like I said, we've done that already 2 times. This time, I'm going to read a book that exemplifies the first principle of Kwanzaa. And then I have some other books that I'm going to show you that also represent the other principles of Kwanzaa. And I like this idea that I had, because each book can give us some food for thought and things to talk about as a family. And that's what this program is all about. And that's what the Nights of Kwanzaa are about, having a conversation about the principle of the day and hopefully dedicating ourselves to incorporating that in our lives. So the first principle of Kwanzaa is umoja. Umoja, again, means unity. Unity means working together, helping each other, especially when we're struggling and we need help. Your community should be there. So as I scooch around to read this book to you, think about all the communities that you're a member of. A lot of times they overlap each other, but we're all members of many communities, whether it's our family, of course, our schools, our workplaces, our churches, our places of worship, our cultures, so many communities that should be helping us as we help them. This book is called What is Given from the Heart. It's a beautiful book. It's won awards. It's written by Patricia McKissack and illustrated by April Harrison. And again, I think it's a beautiful illustration of the principle of unity, or umoja. Please study these illustrations as I read. They're kind of like collages and painting, multiple mediums, just beautiful. All right, it was a rough few months for Mama and me. We were already poor, but we got poorer last April when Daddy went to sleep on the front porch and never woke up. Mama cried and cried because Daddy didn't have a suit to be buried in. Come June, we lost the farm and moved to a rundown shotgun house in the Bottoms. On Friday the 13th, it rained frogs. Everything flooded, and Smitty, my dog, disappeared. Misery loves company, Mama said, shaking her head as she swept water out the back door. I hugged her up close, the way I always did when she was sad or scared, or I was scared. Long as we have our health and strength, we're blessed, James Otis, Mama said, trying to sound brave. But things didn't get any better. We got an early snowfall in November, and Christmas was skimpy, but we made it through to the new year. Before I realized, February was upon us, with Valentine's Day just 2 weeks away. One Sunday, Reverend Dennis made an announcement during services. Just as we always do, we'll be delivering love boxes to needy folk in our community, he said. Irene Temple and her little girl have lost everything in a fire. We must add them to our list. Next week, bring whatever you think might be useful to them. And remember, what is given from the heart reaches the heart. James Otis, we need to help out, Mama said on the cold walk home. I came back with, how we gonna do that, Mama? We ain't got nothing ourselves. Mama kept right on talking. Sister Bunch told me the daughter's name is Sarah. She's 7, 2 years younger than you. You can find a little bit of something for her, don't you think? I wasn't convinced. What do I have that a little girl will want? Now, Mama said. Remember what Reverend Dennis said. What is given from the heart reaches the heart. That night, I lay warm and toasty under one of Mama's quilts. Still, it made me tremble to think about the fire taking away what little we did have. What can I give Sarah to make up for all that she's lost, I wondered. I considered the blue ribbon I'd won in the school spelling bee. Nah, that award was important to me, but it would mean nothing to her. I looked over at my beautiful sparkling rock, the one I'd found down by the creek. But how would that help Sarah? You can't eat a rock. I'm unable to come up with anything good. I pulled the covers over my head and drifted off to sleep. Come morning, I found Mama in the kitchen, busy sewing. I know if we had a fire, I would miss my aprons, Mama explained, so I decided to make Miss Temple one. But Mama, you're using your white tablecloth, the only nice thing you have. James Otis, I'm stitching with a loving heart. My hope is that this apron will give as much joy to Mrs. Temple as the tablecloth has given to me. Mama's smile was a welcome sight. That made me study harder on what I could contribute. Maybe Sarah would like something to play with, like my whistle from Dexter Benson's birthday party. But my spit was all over it. What about my crayons? I drew so many pictures with them, even though the black, pink, and dark blue were missing. No way, I couldn't give her used crayons. And I couldn't give her my pencil that was just a nub and not much eraser left either. As time flew towards Valentine's Day, I fretted more and more. I considered giving Sarah a puzzle. It didn't bother me that 2 pieces were missing, but it might bother her. That wouldn't do, not even with a bow on it. and neither would my capeless Superman Halloween costume. Then I remembered my book, Things That Roll. Mama paid 10 cents for it at the resale shop. I read it every night until I memorized each word, and then I drew pictures of all the stuff that rolled. Sarah might enjoy my book, I thought. But maybe she didn't like trucks and marbles and such. Still, it got me to thinking. I gathered my crayons, my pencil, and some paper, and got busy. On the Sunday before Valentine's Day, we were off to church. Along the way, Mama told me, as usual, the trustees will deliver the love boxes to the homes of the needy, but Reverend Dennis has invited the Temples to receive theirs at Olive Chapel so they can meet the congregation. The church was full. Mama beamed as she carefully placed the apron in the box. When we presented the Temples with their love box, filled with all kinds of clothing, food, tools, and toys, Mrs. Temple was overcome with emotion. The congregation shouted, "Amen." Even so, Sarah seemed sad and afraid. She clung to her mama's arm and hid her face. I walked over to where they were standing. "Hi, Sarah," I said, sounding cheery-like. "My name is James Otis, and I'm pleased to meet you." "Same to you," she answered, looking at her feet. "Here," I said, handing her my gift. "I wrote it, drew the pictures, and put it together myself, just for you." Sarah managed to smile as she stared at the book I made. Then, real slow-like, she read the cover. "From My Heart to Your Heart" by James Otis Petway. It's about a little girl named Sarah and... Don't tell me. I want to read about myself by myself. "I can't believe it," she squealed. "A book about me." And then she covered her mouth to catch a giggle. Seeing little Sarah happy made me happy too. I laughed out loud. "I put some hard words in so you can look them up." "You sound like my teacher." Sarah pressed the book to her heart, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Thank you, James Otis. I'll keep this book forever and ever." Walking home, Mama held my hand. "The Temples look very grateful," she said. "I think we reached their hearts," I said. Mama nodded. "I'm proud of you, James Otis." "How come?" I asked. "'Cause you're you." In winter, night comes early. The sky was darkening and it had started to snow. I stuck my tongue out to catch a snowflake as Mama spun joyfully around and round. Suddenly, Mama stopped. "Look, there's something on our porch," she said. I rushed ahead, and there it was. A love box had been delivered to us. And our hearts rejoiced. Our hearts rejoiced. That's the end. Isn't that a special book about communities coming together to help each other? That is a great representation of Umoja, unity. So let's light our candle. The first candle we light is the black light for Umoja. And we talk about that principle Take a sip from our cup. The principle for the second day of Kwanzaa is called Kujichagulia. And Kujichagulia, can you say it? Means self-determination. That's all about making good choices for yourself. It's about setting goals and taking care of yourself and deciding who you want to be and making it happen. So think about your resolutions for the coming year, things that you want to do, and then Kujichagulia, use your self-determination to make them happen. And here's 2 great books about self-determination and doing great things. The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read. And also, that is by Rita Lorraine Hubbard. And also this book called The Undefeated by Kwame Alexander. We have read both of these books in this program, and you can find those programs again on our YouTube channel. Let's light our candle for Kujichagulia. On the second night, we light the red candle. We go back to our history, and then we'll do green next. The next principle for day number 3 is Ujima. Ujima means collective work and responsibility, working together to help each other and lift each other up. And we should all be responsible for helping people in our community. And this book is a great one to talk about that. It's called Last Stop on Market Street by Matt de la Pena. And I would like to light a candle for Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Starting to look nice, right? We're up to day 4 of Kwanzaa, and the principle for day 4 is Ujamaa. Ujamaa means cooperative economics, and it encourages us to support Black businesses and help each other in our community that way, economically. And so here's a great book about that subject called The Book Itch. Freedom, Truth, and Harlem's Greatest Bookstore. And it's about a real place, the National Memorial African Bookstore in Harlem, which was a landmark place, trailblazing place that made a difference in so many people's lives. And that's another great book. Hey, you can find all these books at the library. Did you know that? Let's light our candle for Ujima. Okay. We're up to principle number 5, and that is called Nia, purpose. We all have a purpose. We're here for a reason. We've talked about the fact that there's only one you and there's only one me, and how special that makes us. And as you learn and grow and get to know the things that you're good at, that you're talented at, the things that you love to do, you'll discover what your purpose is. And here's 2 great books about more trailblazing women who made history. Misty Copeland, who wrote this book called Bunheads. She's a ballerina. And this book about Mae Jemison called Mae Among the Stars by Rhoda Ahmed. Excuse me. And Mae Jemison was first Black female astronaut in space. Awesome. All right, let's light our candle for Nia, purpose. We're up to day number 6, and the principle for that is Kuumba. I love this one. One of my favorites, because Kuumba means creativity. And being creative is just so much fun. There's so many ways to express ourselves creatively, through music, through dancing, through art, through writing, through singing. And everybody has different talents. And guess what? You don't have to be the best singer. I love to sing, but I am not a professional by any means, but it's a way to express myself and have fun. And so I hope that you take time a lot to express yourself creatively, and this is a beautiful book. We're going to focus on this one in the coming year. It's called The Artivist by Nicholas Smith, and it's about being an activist through art. Love it. And let's light a candle for Kuumba. Hey, we're on to the last principle of Kwanzaa. It's called Imani, and Imani means faith. And it's so important to have faith. Again, people are celebrating religious holidays this time of year, but in the context of Kwanzaa and this cultural celebration, when we talk about faith, we're talking about believing in ourselves. Believing in ourselves and all that we are, all that we can be, and being the best that we can be. We're also talking about believing in our community, as we've been talking about this whole time, that they will be there for us to help us when we need it. Faith in our family, and it's such an important principle. And so I have two great books about believing in yourself. The first one is called I Am Every Good Thing. It's by Derek Barnes. Great book. And another inspiring book called I Am One, a book of action and believing in all the things that you can do, and believing that you, the one and only you, can make a difference in the world. Awesome. And so let's light our last candle for Imani, faith. Doesn't our display look beautiful? And I hope, as we've talked about these principles, that you recognize that they are principles that are universal and that can be incorporated in the lives of everybody, no matter what your color, your culture, your religion, your background. There are some excellent principles for us all to consider, and I hope I've given you something to talk about. So here is our Kwanzaa light. As I said, you may have Christmas lights sparkling in your house right now. You may have a menorah that's beautifully lit for Kwanzaa. It's a season of light. And that makes me remember that we all have a light inside of us and an energy that makes us who we are and makes us special. And we are here to shine. We're here to shine. And so I want you to remember that. I want you to know this quote from Maya Angelou. She said, "Nothing can dim the light that shines from within." Nothing can dim your light. And it's up to us to shine as brightly as we can, to work together and magnify each other's light. Because at this time in our history, there is darkness out there in the world. And some people are living through dark times. And you know what you need in darkness? You need light. So let's come together. Let's shine our light. And hopefully, if we do that, we can shine a path, light a path out of the darkness for the world. That's my hope. That's my hope. And so from the light in me to the light in you, I wish you happy holidays. And I gotta give you my peace and love. My peace and love, and I put a little light in there this time. Take some, and pass it on. Bye, friends.